Alright everybody, this is Eternal Blade here, and welcome to a new tutorial. On my last tutorial, we built a TV stand, and now we're going to build the TV that goes on top of it. We're going to be modeling it after a 47-inch Vizio LED TV. Don't know the exact model off the top of my head, but we're just going to give it a go. It might be a little bit different. We're going to be building this for visualization purposes, so we're not going to really focus too much on the back of the TV. We're mainly going to focus on the textures and modeling of the front and the base. So without further ado, let's begin. So we're going to want to start off with a box here, right about there. And also I have my units on Customize Unit Setup. They're on US Standard Decimal Inches, okay? So the length of our TV here is going to be 43.5. And actually, let's see, width is this. So width is 43.5 inches. The length, which is up and down, is going to be 24.5 inches. Okay. And for now, we're going to make the height 1 inch. Alright. Press Z, we'll zoom in on your zoo ports. And if you hit your middle mouse button, it'll rotate to the different 4 views. Alright. Alt W to maximize the view here. So this is going to be the base of our TV. And let me scratch my toe. Alright. Actually, what we're going to do here is we're going to change this to 0.5 because it has a slight bevel. Now we're going to convert this to an editable poly. I have a hotkey set up, which is Control-Alt-Q. I would suggest you set up a hotkey if you follow my tutorials because I use editable polys a lot. Alright. So let's first make a little box here using AutoGrid. I'm just making this so I can see which is the front. It's pretty important to know which way is the front, and sometimes you get a little confused until you get some modeling done. Okay, so press 4 to enter into polygon selection mode. Press R for scale, and on the XZ axis, you want to scale it up just a little bit. Let's see if we can do it. Whoa, nope, way too much. So Control Z. Let's well, there we go. So you just want to have a very little bevel. You can see about how much I have over here. Oh, good, that works. Last tutorial, I had some trouble with the front viewport. It wouldn't do what I wanted, but I think we're good to go now. So let's carry on here. We're going to want to inset this by about an inch. Actually, is pretty perfect. Okay, so hit the check, and what we're doing here is creating the front of the screen. So we're going to bevel now. Okay, so the bevel height, we're going to want to go right about negative, maybe negative 0.2. And we're going to want to have the other thing about negative 0.1. That'll create a very sharp little bevel for us where our screen can go. Oops, make sure you hit the button. Okay. Now what I'm going to want to do is, let's see here, inset this again and inset it at about 0.05. Well, let me do that. I haven't figured out why sometimes my numlock key goes away. Okay, maybe that's too much. Let's try 0.01. Oh, this happened last time. Oh. Well, let's cancel that. Select 1. All right. I think we deleted something. For some reason, we're selecting the back. Alright, there we go. It's back. So, inset this, 0.01, enter. Okay. So now what we did is we created just a little line right there. So we have 2 lines, so when we Turbosmooth it, everything will come together nicely. Okay? Now what we're going to want to do is, let's see here. click on this right here, and let's see, that's at an angle, so extrude about 1 inch. Okay, and check that. Go into your 4 view by pressing Alt W, and come into our left viewport here, and press 1 to enter vertices selection, W for move, and just try to line these up so we get a straight line across it. Alright, and then this is flat. Wow, easier said than done. Okay, there we go. That looks pretty good. Now what we're going to want to do is go in the front viewport here and select these and scale them in just a bit. Alright, that way we have a little curve on the bottom. Alright, go back into our perspective here, check out how we're doing. Alright, next let's select all these lines right here and press G to get rid of the grid. I want to connect, get 2 segments, and pinch them until they're about equal. Let's see, that's probably about good, right at 21. Seems to be fine. Okay. And then what we're going to want to do is select... How do I want to do this? Actually, you know what? Let's undo that. Let's take all these polygons in the bottom here. Alright, and don't get these ones. And let's detach them. Okay. Now, let's go back into their structure here. And we're going to leave the top open. So, click this, and let's connect these two. There we go. Alright, select it again, and connect. And bring the pinch quite a bit back. Okay. Now what we're doing here is to make a little kind of a raise, so a little decorative raise, just like that. Okay, and you know, maybe we're going to make this a little smaller, even like that. Don't want it to make it too harsh. All right, and then go into the front viewport here, and just try to straighten out these vertices here. So just move them right, and so they're a little bit better aligned. Okay, and you can do the same with these. Just trying to keep our mesh pretty clean. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the Turbosmooth and Mesh Smooth modifiers work a little better. Okay, there we go. And we're actually going to make this one just a different color. Make it gray. That way we can see. Okay. Now what we're going to want to do is take this polygon here and detach that. Okay. So we've taken this. Let's call this screen. And we're going to make this, let's make it orange. Just so we can see the different parts. Now you can delete this since we know what's what. Okay. Now let's carry on here. Click the, let's call it the body. I'm just putting enter after each time I type in there, just to make sure it goes through. So select this back polygon here. And let's bevel. Okay. This time we're going to actually want to go out the other way. So just like this, you know, 0.1 should be fine. Then we want to come in a little bit so we get this kind of downward motion right there. Okay. Next, let's bevel it again. And this time we're going to want to go a little farther out, about, we'll call it 0.3, and then not so much in. You know, maybe just a very slight 0.02. And finally, let's bevel. And let's bring this down. Not that much, right there. Okay. Just to give it a bit of a softer edge. And that'll be kind of the back of our TV right there. Yeah, that'll be perfect. Okay. Now what we're gonna want to do here is start working on our Turbosmooth. So you see, we have a very round shape right here. This is not what we want. So go to our editable poly, and let's start selecting some lines. This actually might be easier to do in the front viewport, so that's where we're gonna go. So we can see the outline of our TV here. So select these lines right here, and let's use a connect. Actually, no, how do we want to do this? Let me think for a second. Okay, so click this, hit ring, that'll select all 4 edges, connect, and then what we can do is simply pinch it outward. So there we go, just get it really, really close to get a nice kind of a curve. Alright, now when you go back, well, we're still have some work to do. So we need to curve these edges here. So what we can do, select that edge, select that edge, select that edge, and this edge, you can loop them, which will select the entirety of the edges, like so. And then you can press chamfer, and then this will give us the curve that we're looking for. So make a really small chamfer, just, you know, 0.2 should be fine. And when we go back, there we go. Now we're getting a much sharper image, as you can see. Okay. But you can see that we still need probably a couple more chamfers. So let's go back to our lines. They're already selected. Go to chamfer, and let's just add one more segment in there and tighten that back up. Okay. Let's see if that affects anything. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So you see, we have very, very subtle curves all the way around it. The back, we can fix that. Let's see here. What we're going to want to do is select our back polygon. Let's see here. F2 will show it and toggle it on. Inset. Okay. And so you see where we have that issue right here. There's probably some triangles right over here somewhere. So you see what's happening? We have kind of an n-gon, is what we'd call it. So we're just going to inset that a little bit. Let's see what we can do. I wonder if it'll let us do 0.05. There we go. Okay. Now if we go back into our Turbosmooth modifier. Oops, don't want that. Let's see. Push F5, it'll look a lot better. Now what we can do is select that polygon, go into our left-hand viewport here, and simply move it out a little bit, just like that. Okay? That'll just break up the edges a bit. Alright, there we go. So our TV is coming along. I think I want to tighten up a few more edges, so let's go into our editable poly. And let's select, oops, sorry, hit the edge selection, ring, connect, and let's put one connection and shift it a little bit inwards. Okay, and let's see. Alright, someone was messaging me. So, carrying on, let's go in here and let's ring that, connect, 2 connections, 0 pinch, and, or sorry, 0 shift, and just bring the pinch to about 93. This will give us a very hard edge here. So when you turbo smooth, you see what happens. We have a nice, very, very nice hard edge. And in fact, maybe let's undo that last little bit we did. Maybe that's too much. Alright, let's just try this, see how that looks. That should be fine. Okay. So, over here though, I'd like to define it a bit more. So what we're going to do is select this edge, ring, connect, and 2 segments, bring the pinch in just a bit. Okay. So now when you go back to the turbo smooth, we have just a slightly harder edge there. Now you can see we have some form of element here in the back. It just comes from the fact that we have this end gun. There's not much we can do. We can connect all of it, but that's a lot of work, and we're not going to see it anyway, so we're going to let it sit there. Alright, let's see what we have next. Alright, now let's work on this section a bit more. So you can see we have kind of a gap here between. It's not quite what we want, so we're going to move this up, I believe, just a little bit, if ever I could find out where it is. So let's go to oops, where do I want to go to? Let's go to align. No. Well, alright, let's go to hierarchy, affect pivot only, center to object, and turn it off. That way when we move it, it'll be in the center so we can actually see it. So go on the left hand viewport here, Z to zoom in, and just bring, oops, careful, wow, it won't, we're locked here, so just watch out for that, and you can bring that right up. Or actually, let's do this a different way. Let's select this right here, go into your editable poly perspective, and instead of doing that, let's just tighten up the, well, no, we're not going to do it. That'll cause too many issues. Alright, we'll just turbo smooth this and it'll fit right in. So what we need to do now is delete all these things. Whoa, and it disappeared. Alright, just convert it to an editable poly again. Go to your polygons, select the main ones here, and let's inset them. Okay, not nearly that much. Just give them a little bit of an inset. Okay, now we're going to have a couple different textures on this, so let's go to 1, and we're going to want to select this edge, and this edge, or vertice I should say, vertice, okay? Now push R, and we're going to want to scale them out on the x-axis a little bit. There we go. And then what we're going to want to do is deselect the bottom vertices here. Press W and move it up slightly. What this will do is give us an area where we can texture in here. Okay. That should be good. Let's see here. Yep, that's fine. So, let me check something real quick. Go here, polygon. I just want to see if there is a polygon on the bottom. There shouldn't be. No, there's not. Okay. So, moving back over here. Just trying to look here and see what we have. Let's take the main face here. So what I have selected, let's detach this, which is down here. Detach, and we'll just call that, you know, bottom gray. And we'll click on that, and we'll just make it, you know, a different color. That way we can see what we're looking at here. Now on the back, you can select these right here, and go into the left-hand viewport and simply extend them back, and extend these up to there. Okay. Go into your perspective again. Make sure you're not interfering with anything. And next, go to your front viewport. Okay. Select both of these that we have. Press R. And simply scale it in just a touch. There we go. So we get that nice, the edges can easily be seen. Now we are going to have a problem in that we will need a bottom edge on this. So let's go to our polygon here. Go to border and click in here and simply cap it. Okay. And that'll solve that issue that we had with no cap. Alright. Okay. Next, we're going to want to... What do we want to do? Oh, it's going crazy. Or an orthographic, press P. If it ever goes crazy like that when you're trying to move around, it means you are in orthographic view. That happens if like you're in the front view and you try to move, then it's orthographic and it behaves really weird. So just push P for perspective and you'll get right back. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go next. We do want to take this and select these edges here, loop and ring, chamfer, and give them a very small chamfer. Okay, just to break up the edges a bit. I'll select this and this, loop. Okay, well it worked on one of them. Deselect that, and that, and that. Okay, and chamfer those. Just a little bit. Break up that edge. And finally, we'll manually select all these. Press Q. And actually, no, we're not going to manually select them. Click the polygons on the back here. Control click the edges. And simply hold Alt and deselect the ones in the middle here. Alright, and chamfer. And 0.2, check. Alright, there we go. Now we have an edge on there that won't hurt anybody's eyes. Alright, let's see. Now what we want to do is click this, go into your left-hand viewport, select all these edges, connect with one line, Now press F3, press 1. We're going to try to align this just like so. Oops. If that ever happens when you have this circle, just press Q and come over here until you get the square. Unless you want to be in that selection mode, which is a possibility. Okay. And bring that up here. Actually, I think it kind of hangs down, really. That's kind of what it looks like, I think. Alright, so I just checked on it, and it is like this. But where we're going wrong is with this right here. What happens is this actually extends down to here. So we're going to just bring that down. And you don't really have to worry too much about little things like this. Since it's only a display piece, you're not actually going to be seeing much of it. We'll make it as good as we can. There we go. So now if we go back into our Turbosmooth, and there we have it. Now it meshes nicely with our bottom piece. Okay, click this and let's try applying a Turbosmooth. I want to see what it does. Okay, so what happened? We don't have enough definition on the sides for that to work. So we're just going to delete that because I think it'll look just fine without it. Oops, not that, just delete the modifier. Alright. Now let's see about making some text here. You can go into your splines, text, and we have auto grid on. Just kind of click right in here. That's going to be massive, so we're going to bring that down to about 0.5. 0.5. Press Z to zoom in on it. Bring it over. Just try to, try to center it up. And if you really want to center it up, you can always use my technique of just making a box. Okay, random box. Give it, let's see, where is it? Give it an extra segment there in the middle. And turn on your lines. Click on your text. And line it right up with that box. There you go. Now you can delete your box. So going back in the text, let's just call this Visio. Okay. Rendering, we can enable in the renderer and in the viewport. Thickness, we want it rectangular. And we don't want all that crap. So length, not much. Width, let's think about this. Maybe we don't want any of that. So we have some text here. I'm trying to figure out how we can convert this. Let's use a surface. I think it was called surface. Shell. That's what we want. So go to P. Now you see we have this. So let's bring this way, way down. Okay, push W. And just sink it right in there. Okay, now we have a little logo. You can use whatever type of text you want. Doesn't much matter. Let's just choose, I don't know. There we go. That looks cool. Book Antiqua Bold. I wonder if they have text tracking here. Let's just increase that. Alright, so now we have our logo. And this pretty much sums up the modeling. Oh no, actually no it doesn't. I forgot the entire lower portion of it. Okay, so carrying on then, let's build a box. And Just build a box from here. Okay. I need 1, 1, and 1. This is going to be the base of the TV. So just bring it down. This is going to be, let's see here. Length, we're going to put in 9. For the width, we're going to put in 17. And for the height, we're going to put about 0.5. Convert this to an editable poly. Control-Alt-Q or use your modifier list, edit poly. And let's begin here. We're going to want to, let's see, how do we want to go about this? Let's ring the edges, chamfer them. They do have a slight bend. Okay. Now go into your front viewport here. Select all the bottom vertices. Press R and scale them all down a little bit. Okay. Perspective. Go into your top view here. Control click. Chamfer. Give it only 2. And bring the chamfer up right to about there. Okay. Next, we're going to want to select the bottom face. Alright, and let's bevel it a little bit and inward a little more. Inset that just a tad. Apparently we can't go negative for some reason. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now what this gives us is a nice little base here that we should be able to Turbosmooth. Here. Turbosmooth. A couple iterations. And check out how it looks. And that looks very good, actually. Alright, so there's going to be our base part. Now it also has a little stand that extends on the back. Okay, so let's build that. It doesn't actually touch the base. It's kind of like a snap-on thing, so we're just going to build our stand here. The stand is 4.5, so this way is about 4.5. Oops. And the length is about 1. And the height is 4. So you can see about how far it extends up there. Now we're going to want to convert that to an editable poly. Press 2, select these lines here, connect. Okay. Select this one line here, press W, move it back to give it a little bit of a curve here. Alright, loop that, chamfer, and give it a small chamfer here. Okay. Maybe 0.4. Select these edges here, connect, 2 segments, and just pinch them outward, right to there. 99. And finally, we're going to want to select the outer edges here. Control click, loop, chamfer, and give them all a small chamfer as well. Alright, now give this a Turbosmooth modifier. 2 iterations should be fine. Go back to our editable poly here, and let's select, hit 4. Control click all these, inset, and inset it ever so slightly. Okay, now we're going to want to do the exact same thing on the bottom. Inset, same amount. Okay. Turbosmooth, and that's what we got. That's exactly what the base looks like. So go into our front viewport here, and let's line this up with the base. Okay. Select them both and line them both up with the TV. Alright. There we go. F3 to get out. P for perspective. Now let me see how far back those are. Okay, so let's make a box and go here. Oops. Make this 5 inches. Okay, push W and bring it out. And that's how far forward it needs to be. Okay. Change it to 1 inch. Bring it to here. Actually 1.5 inches I think is better. Okay. Go into your top view. Select all those, F3, and just drag it until it touches the base right here. And lastly, delete your little box. F3. Okay. Now that is pretty much set up. Actually, we're gonna. I didn't think about that. Because the actual way it works is there's just like a little snap piece right here. So we're actually gonna move that forward a bit. Just like that. And move this back just a bit. Okay. And so there we have our TV from the front. So we have our screen, a couple different textures to make, and our base plate. So a majority of this is the exact same texture. We have this is the same. This and this are all the same textures, so let's all assign these gray. We'll give the screen its own texture. We're just for now going to assign it blue. And then this is supposed to be, well, this is supposed to be black, this is supposed to be gray, but we'll make it happen. And then this is supposed to be white. This is Visio right here. Alright, let's actually make the colors they're supposed to be. So we need gray, 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 or black. There we go. So that's kind of what we're looking at in the end, with just how our color scheme is going to be. That's a pretty smooth TV. It should work nice. And we're actually going to put it into our other scene. So let's save this. Go to your projects folder, which I always suggest you have. So go to projects, active projects. Let's go to new folder, TV. Alright, and LED TV. Alright, there we go. Now, I'm going to import this into another scene I've made. So we're going to open up TV stand. Wow, that failed. Where the heck did they go? There it is, TV stand, okay. So in one of my previous tutorials I made a TV stand here, and we're going to put the TV on top of this. Well, there goes my laundry. I will show you all the settings again on what I have, and I'm actually going to go through those first before we do any importing. I have a V-Ray Sun, and you can see the settings here. The main one I changed was the intensity is 0.5. Okay. And let's go into our perspective here for a second. I have a light box almost, and you can see it here. It's just a big long tube. I made a tube and I turbo smoothed it. You can check this all out in the other tutorial. I have 2 little boxes, and I also have my TV stand. I have 1 light up here, which is just a simple plane, a multiplier of 60, and a color that is offset yellow. You can copy the numbers there if you'd like. Okay. I've got my physical cam here. The only things I really adjusted on this were I set it to daylight, and the shutter speed is at 15. Those are the only two things I changed. Okay. And we'll go in the render settings in a second, but I would want to reuse some of these materials since they're very, very similar. So first, let's go to import and merge, and we're going to go over to our project folder. Projects, active projects, TV, LED TV. Alright, you want all, and press OK. And just auto rename them all. Alright, so here's our TV. Let's go into our left-hand viewport here and simply put it right on top. Alright. There we go. Maybe a little more down. Press W. And let's go into our front. Let's actually hide this big tube for a second. Hide selection. There we go. Okay. So you're going to want to select the entire TV. Deselect all the other crap. Go into our front viewport here and just try to line it up. Okay, I'm just eyeballing the distance between here and here. Now this part isn't essential, I'm just doing this for the rendering section. The texturing I'll still show you all. Okay, and that's about exactly how big it is on the base that I have it on. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to adjust our camera a little bit and bring it back. And maybe even bring it down a bit. Okay, there we go. Just so we can get that kind of nice view. Now let's go into our materials by pushing M. I'm actually going to reuse a couple materials here as it's exactly the same look. So the main one we're going to reuse here is our plasticky material, which is this one, let's see, right here. So the settings I have, the diffuse is at a black, I have a 2. The reflect is at 35, which means it's going to be pretty reflective. You can see it right here. I have the glossiness set at 0.95, so they're not perfectly sharp. And the only other setting I changed here was I added, in the bump, I added a dent map with a size of 8,000 and 2 iterations. And I just put that right in. So what we're going to want to do here is select all the pieces that need it. So let's go into perspective here. And select the base there. Select the outer section and the TV itself. Okay. And then over here, click this and assign material to selection. Alright. Next, what we're going to want to do is create a V-Ray light material, I believe. We don't have to do this, but I want to test it out. Zoom into our Visio thing here. And let's just drag it right on that text. Okay. And click, and we'll just leave it for there right now. We might have to play with it in a bit. And next, we're going to have to create a new material. So go to a V-Ray material. You can do this in Mental Ray as well, and assign it to the that long little skinny piece that we detached. Okay. Now what this is going to be, it's kind of a brushed metal look almost. It's very unique looking. So we're going to try to make that happen. Double click there. We're just going to call this brushed metal. Oops, well, not that one. That's going to be light. Double click on the actual top there. There we go. Alright, so the diffuse is actually probably pretty good right there. Reflect, it's pretty reflective. Okay, and you can just show the background right there. Now the glossiness is pretty diffused, so we're gonna bring that down a bit. Okay. Now we want to make it. Let's see here. How do we want to do this? I'd kind of like to use a texture, so we're gonna go to Google. Okay. Get rid of that. Ooh, Chinese chicken fried rice. All right. So type in brushed metal. Images. And just try to find one that looks pretty cool. They're all actually really good. We'll just choose this one. Here we go. View image. Save image as. Go to your active projects and TV. Brushed metal. Okay, there we go. So minimize that. Go back to max. And in the diffuse map, just drag it out. Standard bitmap. And go to your computer, your projects folder, active projects, TV, brushed metal. There, so now you can see we got that brushed metal look. Now we're also going to want to add that to our reflect map. Actually, no, we want that to the bump map first off. And then the reflect glossiness. There we go. And actually, let's change this to 0.9. I think that'll work better. Okay. So let's close that for a second. Now unhide all. That'll get our little tube thing back. Go to our camera. Now I'm gonna let's work on the other material. So let's go to Google. Type in TV image. Except make sure you spell image right. You know what? No, we'll just do this. Desktop background. There we go. Let's go find some cool picture. Search tools, size, larger than, we want a big one. Let's actually do 1920 by 1080. And here, well, we'll just put this one. So view image, save image as, and we'll call this TV image. Okay. Now I'm not sure how this is going to work, so we're going to experiment a little bit. I'd like to make it a light material, so we're going to try. Alright, light color, standard, bitmap, TV image. Alright, and pop it right on that screen. I have no idea how this is going to work, but we're going to bring this down to about 0.5. Now for my render settings, I'm using the V-Ray renderer. I've got it just at 8 by 600 for now. I'm using the V-Ray frame buffer. Adaptive subdivision, set an area, a size of 1. For indirect illumination, I'm using an irradiance and an irradiance map and a light cache. The irradiance map is set on high. That's the only thing I changed. And the light cache is I set at 1000 with a sample size of 0.02 with the show calc phase enabled. I have my render region division set at 32, adaptive amount at 0.5, noise threshold at 0.005, minimum samples of 10. I'm actually going to go to common here. I set this pretty small just to start off with. We're going to do a little test render to see how it works. Okay, I'm going to pause it while it renders, and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so before I finish this, we're going to have a problem here. The light is showing right there. So we're going to hit this light and actually go here. Oh, we're already at show save frames. Oops. Okay, so select the light if you can. There we go, and just move it up out of the frame. Right there. Okay, now re-render. Make sure your physical cam is selected and render. Alright, so you can see we have a few problems here. Not nearly enough light. So let's go back out. M for material. And let's change this to, let's try 5. And then this, change it to 6. Okay. You can see it immediately got a lot brighter. leave that as it is. The brushed metal, maybe we'll make it reflect a little bit more, maybe. There we go. Alright, and let's try re-rendering. Here we go. You can push F9, but it'll actually turn off my software if I do that, so we're going to pause right here. Immediately you can see the TV image looks a lot better. We probably should have chosen something a little lighter for this scene, but I think it'll work just the same. And before we do this, actually, I think, well, I still can't see the Visio, so we're going to cancel this. Making sure I was still recording there. And go to the render setup. Let's make it a lot bigger here. Okay. Go to our V-Ray, our frame buffer, show last V-Ray frame buffer, and let's hit render. Okay, it'll blow it up. Now I want to render a region. I want to render right here. So cancel and re-render. Now what it'll do is just render this one region so I can see if we can actually see that Visio text or not. Alright, so there it is, really small. And I realized what the problem was just now. That Visio text is supposed to be elsewhere. So let's hide selection, that big thing. Click the Visio text and drag it up right here. Increase the text size to 1. Okay. And this is the problem we were having. There we go. Now, let's go back to render setup. Show frame buffer. I'm trying to do this on one screen, but usually I have two. Render, we're rendering this region again. Immediately, oh, we forgot the background, but there we go. We can see it a lot clearer now. Okay. That's perfect. Alright, so close that. Let's go to material real quick. This brushed metal, let's actually change the reflectivity down to 20. Okay. Unhide all. Show last frame buffer. Want to re-render that. Just a little section right here. Should go pretty quick. Alright, there we go. Nice and big. I think we may want to click on the text here. Alright, go to text, and what does this do? Nothing. Increases the length. Italicized, underlined. I think it's just that the font choice we have is a little odd. But I think it'll be fine. What we're going to want to do is go into our material, and it looks like that text is a little blue. So in our color here, we're going to add just a tint of blue to it, not too much. Okay. And over here, we're going to bump that up to 7. Alright, let's enable our frame buffer again. Re-render that area. Let's see how it looks. Okay. That's not bad. That should be fine. Okay, let's do a render of the entire thing now. So, uncheck this box and render away. Alright, I'll be back in a sec once it's done. Alright, so here's the image we got after rendering. It looks pretty good. I'm a little unhappy with the specular kind of reflections right here, so we're gonna work on that for a brief second. Also, well, it kind of blends in. We have let's see. Just trying to see why it would look different. close this for a second. Zoom in here. Okay. I figured out what's wrong here. So select this. Yeah, just select the whole thing. Press R. Scale it in just a bit. Press W and move it back. Alright. It's actually supposed to be a little bit set back. Okay. Let me just open up that frame buffer again. Alright, so you see how we have these speckles here. We're going to try to fix that. Let me drag this over. So go into our material. And I believe I used this material here. Just double click on it. Now, one way we can do it, it'll increase render times a bit, is changing these subdivisions. Let's try 16. Alright. That may increase our render time quite a bit, but what we're going to do is go over here, render region, and just render this region right there, little tiny region, okay? That'll show us if we're actually making any progress here in these speckles. Alright, so it doesn't look like we changed much. Let's try something like, change this to 8. Change this to 32. And don't think refraction matters at the moment. Go to our V-Ray light here and change its subdivision to 16. Okay. And also select our V-Ray sun if we can and just see what it's at. Let's do shadow subdivisions of 6. Okay. And let's try re-rendering that region, see if we're getting anywhere. Interesting. Doesn't look like we're getting terribly far with that. We can try changing a few other settings here. We're gonna figure it out. I mean, it looks nice up there, but we have a lot of little edges and stuff down here, and that's just causing issues. It's from the light, too, I'm pretty sure. Alright, let's take a look here. Just going to do a test by turning off the GI and seeing if it's in there. And so you can tell it's not a GI setting. It's still giving a noisy image. Okay. Let's keep the GI off until we solve the issue, because we know that's not the problem. Let me see. We can try changing this down to 0.25. The noise threshold maybe to 3. 0.003 that is. Global subdivisions multiplier, we're trying to 1.2. Minimum samples of 12. Okay. Re-render. See if any of these changes did it. See, it takes a significant amount of extra time when you do that. Okay, so clearly that didn't change it. Let's change those back. Got a few more tricks up our sleeve we can try. Go to V-Ray here, and in the area subdivision filter, let's try 0.3, just to see what effect it has. Okay, so that didn't do anything. Let's try 4. A huge number. We're just trying to see if we can affect it at all, whether it's up or down. Ah, look at this. So now we're at massively blurry images, I think, is what happened. We're going to let that render for a second. It's yeah, so see what happened? It got really blurry, so that definitely did not do what we wanted it to do. So put that at 0.5 again. So our adaptive subdivision sampler, let's see. I think what else could we change here? Let's go to our light again. Let's change this to 32. Oops. Let's see. Don't believe our camera is what we need to change. No. 32. Let's go to material. Open this back up. And let's max depth to 12. We can try using interpolation. Just for giggles. I don't think that affects it, but alright, let's re-render. Okay, well, it's gone. You can see we have a... Alright, so something affected it that we just did. So let's figure out what it was. Let's change this to 16 and re-render. This is part of the problem-solving process and how you learn, you know, what does what. So clearly it wasn't that, so that's fine. Let's try interpolation. Alright, render that. Ah, so interpolation got rid of that. Now the question is, why did it get rid of that? I'm not sure, but let's see. Because interpolation puts a lot more data where you need it. So maybe it's putting a lot of extra data in that edge. So let's just try something by changing this to 64 without interpolation. And seeing if we had a massive amount, if that would solve our issue. It'll take a lot longer to render, but it doesn't look like it did. Okay. Well, let's change this back to 16. Check our interpolation on. And uncheck render by region. Go back over here and enable our indirect illumination and render out a full image. I'm going to pause it and I'll be back when it's done. Alright, so here's what we got. Not quite what I was hoping for. It's very blurred out, and yet on the actual TV it's very not blurred out. So I don't think the answer is interpolation, which sucks because I was really hoping it was. Okay. Let's go here in direct illumination. We're going to play with, I mean, maybe we can fix it with some of these settings. We're first going to try upping the sample size 0.1. Okay, and then bringing this to 1500. And we're going to render the region again, and we're actually going to choose up here. Okay, and render. Just because that's going to be, you don't have to render this text, that glowy text. Okay, so we're actually going to render maybe a slightly bigger region. Right here, okay. Render. Let's see what we get. That's not bad, actually. Let's try seeing if we affect that greatly. 2000. Okay, let's try changing the sample size to 0.5. Rendering it again. I can't remember if that was what it looked like before or not. We're gonna find out though. Okay. Let's try here. See what that looks like. And render the image. Okay, so it's still kind of specularly. Change this back to 0.2 and our radiance map, we can change this to, let's try 40, H-sphere subdivisions to 100. Okay, and re-render that region, see if that makes any difference. It'll take a little while longer to calculate the pre-passes, but nothing terrible. Such a nice day outside over here. It's raining a little bit, I have my door open. Very nice. Makes for a good day for recording tutorials. But we will see. With luck, we're going to have some good results, and we don't. Alright, let me think about this for a second. Alright, so I'm back. I played around with it for about half an hour, and I found out that it's a resolution issue. We don't actually have enough resolution to create good specular maps. I upped my resolution and it got a lot better. I mean, we got some straight lines and you can see it a lot better. The problem is we don't have enough pixels, and that's why no matter what settings we change, I can blur it out, which is what you should do at lower resolutions, but that's not really what I want to do because it affects the rest of the image. But yeah, that's our main issue here, is just with that. Everything else though looks fairly good. The only thing I might want to affect is this thing right here. You see how the lines are going down? We want those to not do that. So what we can do, on a perspective, zoom in here. Alright, add a UVW modifier. UVW map, okay, make it a box. And go to our brushed metal here. And let's see, that should be right now. So go back to our oh, actually, before I do that, in the light cache I changed it to 3000 just to make it a little less noisy as a whole image. Okay, so show last view frame buffer, just select, I kind of want to get the entirety of that thing right there. Okay, and we'll re-render that. Alright, there we go. Now it's re-rendered. This is pretty much it. There's our final product right here. Looks pretty good to me. I mean, everything, you know, interacts nicely. We have the nice reflection here on the TV stand. The image is nice and crisp. Oh, you might want to choose a little lighter image when you're actually showing this off, just so you can see quite where the edges of the TV are. But it's nice. It provides light. Other than that, I think we're going to wrap this up. If anyone has any other ideas about this kind of noise right here, I mean, I could boost the settings up really, really, really high, and it would take an hour and a half to render, and we'd probably get rid of them. But, you know, I just want a quick, you know, 5-minute render, something like that, and 5-10 minutes. This is what we got. So I will see you in the next tutorial.